Joe Bernstein is a reporter for Buzzfeed and is infamous for his pivotal role in the firing and blacklisting of comedian Sam Hyde. He wrote an article that you can see on screen right now, which I can summarize and paraphrase with, "Oh my god, look at what this guy said one time at Adult Swim. Are you going to allow this to go on? Comedians shouldn't joke about certain things." Adult Swim caved in from both the external and internal pressure, and his role in this was likely less influential than some people believe, with so many factors going into things, with how many people were calling for Sam Hyde to be removed from Adult Swim. I think there were more than just this article that contribute to it. This type of highbrow journalism, however, that you see these days really pushes the bar as low as it can go. Gotcha yellow journalism to drive out those they disagree with. These standards that they impose on others is not meant to also apply to them. You see, when they do it, they're just joking. A tweet of his resurfaced yesterday morning showing Joe Bernstein encouraging, well, let's just say he was joking, at least that's what he claimed. This is comedy after all, and no one should ever be censored. Even if they aren't a comedian and they weren't making a joke, they were saying something that is in violation of the standards they hold others to. But remember, they don't expect to be held by the standards they impose on others. Bernstein doesn't support the idea of censorship when it is turned upon him, apparently. He is, however, completely for it when it is against somebody he doesn't like. From August 6th, 2018, all of these removals put at Twitter and at Jack in the very uncomfortable position of being the only major social media network to disseminate at InfoWars. Imagine explaining that to your employees. Well, Bernstein is very familiar with being in an uncomfortable position, if you catch my drift. So what was his defense? Well, he deleted the tweet and then posted this in response to the, let's just call it, feedback. Remember, he's the person we need to feel bad for. This is all about how he's been inconvenienced by all of this problematic social interaction. Remember, he could just put his phone down at any time. What I found even more interesting than his first hot take is Bernstein's apparent interest in canines. Now clearly, one or two of these would be a joke, but he does seem to hold an abnormal level of interest on this subject. All of these tweets put at BuzzFeed and at BuzzFeed News in the very uncomfortable position of being the only major social media network to feature dog enthusiast at Bernstein. Imagine explaining that to your employees. Just goes to show that all of these journalists that digest the news and interpret facts for us are perhaps not fit to do so. With people like Bernstein, people would be better off getting information from somebody that doesn't exploit their influence. This tweet of Bernstein's really just looks like an application to work at the New York Times. I'm sure they're going to hire him anytime now. A narrow win for Republicans in Ohio has led to the unusual nonsense that is typical from a social media activist on an election night when they lose. First, they claim that their loss is actually a win, as they only barely lost in a state where Trump won by 11 points in 2016. Even though they lost, this is still a win. This is the fabled blue wave that we have heard so much about. Well, they don't tell you that the voter turnout was pitiful, and a lot of people don't even vote in special elections like this one. I, for one, didn't even know that there was a special election there, and I wonder how many people living there also didn't know about it. On top of that, people have been in uproar against the Green Party. Yes, just like in 2016 and also just like in the year 2000, the Green Party was another reason they didn't win. Just look at some of these tweets from people that claim that they are rational and care about all people and all issues. And yet, look at how they feel about people who inconvenienced them by thinking differently. The only thing they have more contempt for are people that share an adversary but won't do everything they are told to do. Out of all of the hot takes that I have seen in the past few hours, I find this one the most amazing. Alyssa Milano, once known for her movies but now known for not being in movies, claims that Russia is the reason the Green Party got their votes. This is clearly all meddling straight from Russia. Anytime they can throw that in, they go for it. Trump gets 2 scoops of ice cream, Russia! CNN stages a news story at the London Bridge, Putin! People vote using their own free will? Russia hacked our election again! Funny how a lot of these people were likely skeptical of these so-called intelligence agencies 15 years ago, and now their vague statements about foreign subversion are used as an authority on political discussion. For everyone who has an election coming up, I must encourage you to go out and vote. The low turnout rates speak volumes, and in order for us to be able to do anything meaningful, we are going to have to play their game. If you have an election nearby, make your voice heard, even if it is contrary to what Alyssa Milano or even myself would suggest. You will have to do a little reading, but in the long run, I think you will find that it is worth it. These elections could change things, and giving the left even a little bit of power right now would revert everything that we have worked so hard for in these past few years. Don't give them even an inch. If there is anything you can do to remotely inconvenience them, I would encourage you to go for it. That'll be it for now. Here it is, your moment of clarity.
Obama did, I don't know your income, and I'm not concerned about your income. Obama did raise taxes on the top, he raised taxes on the top 1 or 2%. And you know what? I would have gone further. I think the wealthiest people in this country are doing phenomenally well. 52% of all new income generated today goes to the top 1%. So you and I may have a difference. But yeah, I do believe that billionaires and multimillionaires should be paying more in taxes.
I'm a business owner. I'm not a multimillionaire. I'm not a billionaire. Okay? I mean, you haven't lived until you put a payroll on your credit card. You know, I mean, this is the reality of the backbone of this country.
Well, the backbone of this country, I think we should support entrepreneurship.